about. Trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist. Am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Spending time all alone, sending my songs to the phone, dreaming of a better home, while focused on trying this craft, witchcraft. I hope the brujas let this last. I don't know.
That was great sounds of Watts with Outside on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Myself, Prestige, with my partner in crime, who was nominated last night at the New England Music Awards. His name is Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. EZ BlueZ, you are better with introductions more than me. Who do we have with us today? All behind the brand.
Ladies and gentlemen, the art of information is such a beautiful art, and not one that we really sit and talk about a lot. When you have specific people that are out there, very similar to the heralds that used to stand on the street corners saying, "Hear ye, hear ye," giving you the information of your community.
I know he said community. I know he said great stuff with the community. I know he said that.
Important. Did I freeze?
You froze, but it's a great photo picture of you. I wish I could snapshot on the computer easy. You're doing a great job. I love your energy. I hope I can get your face back. I know you have fight with the internet demons every single week on the broadcast, but you maintain to have a strong presence on this show. So as you go with your commanding attitude, EZ BlueZ, go with that motion. And I hope you didn't lose that train of thought in your head because you're doing so well.
Again, like the heralds that stand on the street corners going, "Hear ye," giving you the information that is necessary. Telling us the people to invest in, the people to look away from, the heart and the soul of the community. That is the true job of the reporter. And I must say, this next person greets, no matter the situation, you with a smile that could stop traffic or stop you in your tracks. Just ask my co-host Prestige. I want you to put your hands together, not if you're driving. If you're driving, you keep your hands at 10 and 2 if you want you to be responsible. But mentally, put your hands together for the amazing Tom Bryan. Brother, how you been? Welcome.
I'm good. It is a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me, EZ. Thanks. And might I just say, Prestige, that was a pro radio move. If you saw your co-host struggling with the internet, Prestige, don't worry. I got the spiller for 30 seconds. We are going to keep this radio show going. You did it.
The internet hates me.
It's a finesse.
That's the thing about EZ BlueZ, man. We know each other so well. It's nonverbal communication with us. We just pick each other back up. But Tom, it's great to have you on the program. It's been a long time coming.
It's great to be here. It's great to see you again. Our reunion of sorts on the radio, Prestige. We spent a good 3 years every Monday morning. I was coming on to talk movies with you and the Ugly Radio crew. So it's great to see you behind.
Now, do you still do movie reviews?
Haven't done well. I do them in my head, but and I do them whenever Lucy or any friend is down to listen. But I don't. You know, for 5 years, I hosted a radio show on WNHH on this very same station that we are all broadcasting on right now. I host a show called Deep Focus. So every week, I would interview local filmmakers, and then my independent colleague and I, Alan Appel, would review new releases at the Bowtie Criterion Cinemas downtown. So for put in a good couple of years doing that, but the pandemic kind of put an end to that show. So now I'm focusing on news, local news, all day, every day. But I still obsessively watch and think about movies. Just don't talk about them as much.
What made you want to be a reporter?
Oh man, I have always loved writing, loved reading, and I think that in my personal life, I'm always very reluctant to throw myself out there into conversations with strangers. And so I thought, what is the best way to actually make myself talk to people? Well, why not do it for a living? And running up to strangers all day, every day, asking them to tell their life secrets to you, and then you publish on the internet forever for everyone to see. I said that only slightly tongue in cheek, but yeah, I mean, I really I'm not the my idea of like a good time is sitting in a movie theater and just staring at a screen quietly by myself. So I think that part of my attraction to journalism is that challenge, that pressure to go out there and to talk to different people every single day, all day. I love people. I love learning about who people are. I really fundamentally think that people are good and that people are worth listening to, and that we live in a more vibrant and interconnected and lower D democratic society when we hear and understand each other. But also, I'm just kind of shy in my personal life, so I like a profession that challenges me to be not shy.
But I already answered my question right there. Now, you picked the right city, New Haven. Did you grow up in New Haven, or did New Haven find you?
New Haven found me, fortunately, as I think it has for a lot of people. Now, I grew up in the suburbs of New York City, and I came to in a town called Irvington on the Hudson River, Westchester County. And I came to New Haven got a job here in 2010 at Yale University Press, which is the academic book publisher over on Temple Street downtown at Yale. And then I met Lucy, my incredible partner, now wife, and wonderful local journalist, editor of the arts paper, Lucy Gelman. She was working at the Art Museum down on Chapel Street at the time. And I could go through the whole history, but she got a gig writing kind of part-time about the arts for The Independent. Then I pitched the arts editor, Brian Slattery, on writing movie reviews for The Independent, for interviewing local filmmakers. That was back in 2015 or so. And then I just did a whole lot of that, did a whole lot of writing about movies, about other kind of smaller arts and culture kind of events around the city. Paul, the editor and founder of The Independent, liked my writing enough to give me a shot at writing different types of stories about more newsy stuff. And he liked that enough too to eventually give me a full-time job in 2018, and then kind of rose the ranks from managing editor to now editor. So I've been in New Haven since 2010, writing for The Independent since 2015. And it's the best thing in the world. I really do love this city. I love The Independent. I love writing every day and being able to meet and talk with folks like you two to keep the city ticking.
Oh, thank you so much. That really means a lot coming from you. But just being in New Haven all the time and just telling all these stories and just sharing just so much information to people around the city. What were some of those breakthrough moments that just really caught your eye? Like, yo, this happened like 2-3 minutes down from me. I can't believe what I'm in.
Yeah, it's a good question. So I guess I'll if I may, take a very quick small step back and say, so I'm the editor of The Independent, which is this local nonprofit news site that Paul Bass, a kind of legend in New Haven journalism, founded back in 2005. It was only the second nonprofit news site of its kind locally in the country at the time. It's really a trailblazer. And now there are hundreds of sites like this. I think nothing quite like The Independent, but similar model around the country now. So we publish, 10, 11, 12 articles each day, Monday through Friday, all about life in New Haven. That means a lot of time. I spent a lot of time at City Hall covering Board of Alders meetings, City Plan Commission, various committee, and kind of understanding and writing about how the gears of city government turn. I spent a lot of time out in the neighborhoods at events, kind of big and small, whether that be block parties or community management team meetings. Spent a lot of time in court, whether that be housing court or criminal court. A lot of time covered politics, local, state, and federal, all as it intersects with New Haven, and really trying to understand what it's like to live in New Haven at this particular moment. I think The Independent is, we're fundamentally a kind of first and foremost a breaking news site. So we write about what it's like here and now. But over time, as you, I think, as a lot of readers of The Independent experience over time, as you kind of the knowledge that accrues from all of these articles gives you a sense of like what it's been like in New Haven over the past 15 years, the past 17 years. You kind of get a sense, a bigger picture sense of how the city is changing, what it's like right now. So in terms of, some of the stories that really hit me to my core, they range from a February 2018 profile I wrote of this lovely 81-year-old woman on Asylum Street named Dora Lee Brown, who spent 4 decades working at the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station as an entomologist studying gypsy moths, and just a stalwart, kind of a fixture of Hill community life, community management team activism, and just a great neighborhood advocate for the Hill. I find that New Haven is filled, part of what makes New Haven so unique are its really well-defined neighborhoods, really rich histories in each neighborhood, really proud advocates for different neighborhoods. And the Hill is a classic example of that. A lot of people have, it's a complicated place, has so much in New Haven, but a lot of people very proud to be from there and will fight tooth and nail to make sure it's a better place to live tomorrow than it is today. I spent a lot of time writing about real estate in New Haven. That's really been one of the beats that I've developed over the past couple of years. So I kind of spend way too much of my life. We can go down the rabbit hole of how much, but thinking about how Mandy management is expanding, how ocean management is expanding, how these big, mega poverty landlords, how they're financed, and also what it means for renters.
Speaking of landlords, I'm very happy that just came out. There was something that I saw, it was like years back when I was at my first radio station. I think you had like a little confrontation with the landlord. Am I right?
Oh yeah, that's right. I've had a few confrontations with landlords over the years, unfortunately. But I think that one was, I remember writing about, unfortunately, really, tragic, a fire on West Street in the Hill. It was an illegal rooming house. A whole bunch of people were packed into, I think it was like a 3-family house, but maybe 15 or 16 people were living there. There was a fire and 2 people died. And wrote a lot about how the landlord was illegally, cramming way too many people in there, hadn't set up a safe place for people to live. And the landlord happened to have been arrested a few weeks before the fire for allegedly assaulting one of the tenants, who happened to be the same guy who died later in the fire. I actually don't think that there's any foul play of like this. There's a relationship between the landlord getting in a fight with his tenant and then him dying in what looked to be, I believe it was an electrical fire a few weeks later. But this guy happened, I've been trying to get in touch with this landlord who, I think he was in the Bronx, owned a couple properties in New Haven. And I knew that he was coming to court because he had been arrested for allegedly like punching this tenant in a dispute over collecting rent. So I, very awkwardly sat in the front row of the, state courthouse ground floor courtroom on Elm Street as he had his hearing for, the assault charge. And I think the case was continued. And then I kind of ran after him after he left the courthouse that day and, told him I was going to write about his role in owning this building that literally killed someone because of how dangerous it was.
Yeah.
And he, I think he said, like, don't you dare take my picture. And I said, I'm going to take your picture right now. And I raised my camera because, an important part of the independent site is that we don't just write words, we take pictures. I really believe that a way to empathize with and understand who it is who fills our articles and our papers and New Haven Public Life is to actually see them. Just read about them. Well, this guy was none too pleased about me raising the camera to take his picture. So as I lifted my camera, he took a swing at me, but I was able to dodge it and lean back. But I did get this, I think, really cool photo of him in motion, going to throwing this photo of me. But then I think I may have taken, 20 very quick steps backwards, maybe the quickest that I've run backwards from anyone. And I think I got a photo of him walking away up the street too.
Tom Breen, you're such a brave man on WNHHLP 103.5 FM New Haven, myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ BlueZ is in the building. Who's also brave as well, too, and won't be afraid to punch a landlord as well, too, especially if he's shady. EZ BlueZ.
Oh wait, can I say one? I'm sorry.
Go right ahead.
Turn to the left. I just
you, brother.
Remembered about that same article. So I think this gives a good sense of the type of we're not your average corporate owned paper that publishes totally incomprehensible and sedate articles about whatever our corporate overlords want to publish. Independent has a lot of attitude, and I love how that comes through in the headlines. I love how that comes through the writing. So I'm afraid that I'll try to censor it, but this article about the guy who took a punch at me was called "Violent Slumlord," quote, "I'll break your effing camera," end quote.
Wow.
Oh boy, I hope that guy isn't listening right now. But
I hope he is.
Thank you for indulging me, Prestige and EZ.
Man,
that was amazing.
That's a great story.
But most people,
Okay, go ahead.
No. Most people, that's rare. Very rarely does anyone throw a punch at me. Usually people are the best. They're really wonderful to talk to, even on more difficult and thorny or accountability stories. People are not throwing punches left and right, but then occasionally they do.
hold on. The light bulb just went above my head this time. Wasn't there an incident in a cafe or something? There was like a little story in a cafe, and you had a confrontation with somebody.
Prestige, you were bringing me back.
I'm bringing it back down memory lane. Just the conversations that we had and the stories that you covered, because you covered so much within the Independent. There was some cafe. Please tell me about that moment.
It was called. I just Googled it. It was, so the article is called "New Cafe Harvest Data Bars Townies," because it was called the Shiru Cafe. It was on College Street, I think. Yes, it was on College Street.
Yes.
And it was this, I think it was a Japanese, it was like a cafe model that had started in Japan. This is one of the first US outlets. And they only, and this is going to sound like a joke, but it's not a joke. They only allowed college students in, and they serve free coffee, but only to college students. And in that part, that's like very near Gateway, but clearly Shiru Cafe was open. I think they had opened one in Providence. They were like clearly opening for this to be an exclusive Yale student cafe in like a public street. Like, are you kidding me? Just opening them? Like, aren't there like, we have a very long and sordid history of like barring people from businesses because of their affiliation or lack of affiliation, or who they are, or what have you. So I remember going into Shiru Cafe soon after they opened, and I was on, we do a lot of Facebook Live, kind of live video feeds on the Independent. So I went in there and I had, my Facebook Live video on, and I interviewed the manager and spoke with her about how I thought this was like a clear violation of like the 1964 Civil Rights Act and stuff, and choosing to serve, clearly only Yale students. And then, oh boy, I think that place shut down pretty soon thereafter. Not that I'm looking to but they were, and I think that their business, so they gave free coffee to Yale students, but I think they collected and maybe even sold data. That was the data harvesting, kind of like Facebook or anything else free on the internet. They're really just harvesting data and selling it to the highest advertiser.
Oh my God, that was unbelievable. And that was not too long ago too, which is the craziest and scariest part.
I know. Oh man, I'm so glad you were reminded. Right, that was a small claim to fame. Confronting Shiru. Not the Shiru. I mean, it's not like, this is, I feel this is classic Independent too. I mean, who's gonna flip out over Shiru Cafe? It's like one small cafe on College Street, but I think for the Independent, for me, for our readers, come on, we can't live in a town where there are cafes that are only serving basically Yale students. Inexcusable. And they got the Independent treatment.
I was told in broadcasting school that forgiveness is better than permission when it comes to just reporting and just doing what you do. You have to always go out there and take that risk. You can always say you're sorry, but you will always regret if you don't take that moment, take that grasp, go out there and do what needs to be done. Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah, it's definitely true. I mean, so much of being a reporter, especially a local reporter, working for a breaking news site, means that you're always putting yourself in situations that are unfamiliar and potentially a little uncomfortable. But you gotta, I lead with trusting that people genuinely want to talk about what they're going through. That people tend to feel better when they feel heard, when they feel like someone is paying attention to their story and their experience. And also, I trust that people who do not want to talk are also very upfront about that. I mean, very often, someone will say, I actually don't want to, and unless if it's, something at City Hall or elected official or whatever, there's some things it's like, well, it doesn't matter if you want to talk or not. This is kind of something that we have to write about because it's in the public, public domain, public interest. But not everyone wants to talk. Not everyone wants their photo taken. Not everyone wants to be on the front page of the local news. And that's fine too. That's totally, you got to respect that as a reporter, especially a reporter who, lives in the community that you write about. The Independent's very much we are of this city as much as we write about this city. And you gotta lead with respect of the people you're writing about, or else readers aren't gonna see themselves in the stories. They're not gonna see that this is a site that cares about the city. The last thing we want to do is just kind of helicoptering in, writing like hit pieces about people and then running out. But then again, there are some things that are kind of shady that sometimes you have to write about and let people know about.
Easier fingers up. Go ahead.
Well, no, I love that you just spoke about that because there's so much truth to even when people are being disrespectful in their acts and what they're doing to the city can be considered disrespectful. Going about and covering that story with respect is a huge thing because you're no matter what we do, we are going to sway the listener or the reader or the viewer in one way or another. But when you can do it and you can paint a human side to it, I think it's something that you do incredibly well. I have been in many of situations with you where you're just kind of like the fly on the wall, and running a Facebook Live or scribbling away on your incredible notepad. This man still carries a notepad.
Yeah,
I love
respect.
it to death.
Respect.
When everyone else is sitting there with their phones out with a little microphone on it, he is scribble, 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 flip, scribble, 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 flip. And there's such a beauty to it, but you have this incredible aspect of really just being able to blend into the crowd very, very well. Is that something that you've worked on, or is that just like your natural? Is that now I'm watching the real movie of life and I just want to sit back and watch it, or is that like a character that you play?
That's a good question. And what I love that I love the love for the notepad because I mean, with juggling phones and cameras, there's a lot of like technology involved in, I don't know, life these days, let alone reporting. But
Right.
but I do love having, a notepad is a really important way to let people know that you're a reporter, because a lot of people aren't used to interacting with. I mean, I don't know how often, like, even though we see each other a fair bit, many people who I interview any given week never spoken to a reporter before. And so it's important to like never, ever, ever hide what it is that you're doing.
Right.
Like, I'm taking notes, I'm taking photos, I'm identifying myself. I am a reporter writing for the Independent, because the last thing you want, and this happened, I've made this mistake early on in my career. I know every reporter I've spoken to, where you're interviewing someone, they don't quite understand what exactly it is that you're doing. And then you write an article and they're like, oh my God, I told that person who now published it forever on the internet. And that is a mistake that you should only make once, because, your trust from people who talk to you is really one of the most important things you have as a reporter. And if you accidentally or intentionally break that trust, it's a really bad thing. But so in terms of hanging out, I mean, I think it comes from, I don't know if, I guess I'm on the smaller side, so it's kind of easier for me to like fit into like the side of a room or sit up front and not like take up a lot of space. You're not the most conspicuous of people, but at the Independence wardrobe is not, we're kind of going around in our jeans and sweaters and baggy, it's like we're not looking to be the 3-piece suit wearing, reporter who feels like they're here for a special occasion. I mean, I try to think like I'm here as an attendee, whatever it is, as much as I'm a reporter, how to like not disrupt or kind of influence how something plays out. But then again, and I can't stress how important this is enough, you never, ever, ever want to hide that you're a reporter, or at least I don't, so I know like, sometimes reporters are trying to do the gotcha stuff. I never want to do gotcha, because that's not, I'm not looking to be a reporter who surprises people by writing about them. Like,
is that unprofessional?
I mean, I think it is, and it's certainly unprofessional for the type of grassroots, community-based, community building journalism that the Independent does. Like, we're not looking to be sneaky. We're looking to build, like, there's a mission here, and that mission is to make people feel, more connected to one another, more invested in their community, and the way you do that is through a deeper understanding of the truth. So it's not like we're lying. It can be very easy to lie, like, make people feel good and bring them together by lying. We don't do that. It's like you can't. And as a journalist, you can't just make stuff up. But also, I always remember that, like, what is the goal here? Why do I think it's important for people to understand how city government works, what it's like to live in New Haven at this time? Ultimately, it's to live in a better place. That doesn't mean we write about only good things, but it means that we write honestly and truly, and not hiding that it's Tom Breen behind the camera, or Nora Grace Flood, or Maya McFadden, or Laura Gillespie, Paul Bass. We don't hide who we are. These aren't robots writing articles. These are real people who live in the city.
Easy.
Well, no, see, I love that, and I love that there's this incredible principle behind there, because we've been in some really interesting times. And there are people that are out there that aren't printing truth, that, are making money off of not printing truth. How do you hold on to, that true principle when you're when you're sitting and watching the world burn? how do you stay true to who you are and the principles that you hold?
Yeah, it's a good question. Fortunately, there's an incredible foundation that Paul, my editor, or I guess now the founder of the Independent, now associate editor, or who helped, great helper, Paul Bass. He's laid a wonderful foundation at the Independent for the past 17 years, in that we have again that mission of building a stronger lowercase d democracy through honest day-to-day breaking investigative reporting, all things New Haven. There's no story too small for the Independent. I've certainly covered my fair share of a dog park opening, or again, just a bike month party on Ivy Street, or city hall meetings, city planning commission meetings where I'm staying until midnight, hearing about latest residential, luxury developments, where they're getting built and what's getting knocked down to make way for them, or what's not getting knocked down, and what parking lots are getting, so there are all different types of things that go into making what life is like in New Haven right now comprehensible, and human, and, grounded in, kind of a very ethical understanding of what it's like to treat people like fellow human beings. And so I think that we at the Independent have carved out this very specific niche for us. We're not trying to tackle the big national, who won the 2022 midterms, or who won the, and, I love, I'm a political news junkie, so I certainly love every chance I get to write about and read about local politics, state politics, federal politics. But we know, at least I know, that the Independent is trying to do one thing really, really well. And that thing is, within the bounds of New Haven, what is it like living here at this time? What do people need to know? What's of public interest that people need to know? And then how do we tell that story in a kind of human-centered, kind of people-centered, empathetic, honest way? So knowing the boundaries as much as pushing ourselves, I think is an important way to not get too overwhelmed by all the craziness that goes out in the world.
Right. Well, and you have walked into some crazy situations. I mean, I've been there with you for a couple of them. And when I say with you, we weren't hanging out. We just happened to be in the same space at the same time. But, what is it like to sit there and you take it so seriously, you'll sit there through the craziness, even if it means you're going to get punched in the face, or, you sit there and you hold tight because the story is that important to you.
Yeah, I mean, I think probably one of the, crazier and more upsetting things I've covered was the taking down of the Christopher Columbus statue in Worcester Square Park in late June of 2020. And I say that was crazy and upsetting primarily because I remember, getting there, 6 or 7 in the morning. I knew that the city was planning on taking down the statue. I knew that there was going to be a group protesting, mostly kind of Italian American, from East Haven, North Haven, kind of just outside of the city, people with roots in New Haven, but who didn't necessarily live here. And I remember just the really intense kind of anger felt from that group in particular that day. I thought, is someone going to do something? Constantly reading about terrifying acts of violence all over the country. I thought, is this going to be one of those times where there's there's a group really passionate about taking down the statue. There's a group really passionate about not having it come down. And because all of the crane operators that the city was calling that day kept calling out, because clearly they didn't want to be the ones to remove the Christopher Columbus statue. So what was supposed to happen at 7 that morning didn't wind up happening until noon. And by that time, there was a huge crowd in Worcester Square Park. Tensions very, very high, and punches thrown by, I remember this, the group of people protesting the removal of the statue. One of the guys threw a punch at a protester named Los Fidel, and that turned into its whole scope. But it was really intense. I remember running around Facebook Live and the whole thing. So, I don't know. Hopefully, fortunately, situations like that don't happen too frequently. But when they do, they kind of sear themselves into one's memory. Just kind of grateful that we live in a city that New Haven is incredibly segregated. And it is a city where all too many people have, deal with just a horrendous level of violence. And I think that it's it's important to never forget that when reporting on it, but also to recognize that that is not what defines the city, even when it does terrify.
Well, and just to give, hold on, just to give a happy ending to that story too. You know, I remember you were also there a couple of days later when Los Fidel and the mayor came out and hung out and had a very long conversation with him. So, you know, as much as there was a darkness in the city, there was some light that came from it. And here you are, the fly on the wall, to capture both moments. So thank you for that.
Yeah, my place. That's right. That was a nice coda to that.
Tom, I only got you for about like 2-3 minutes because I know.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's fine. Easy. Business happens, but I'm really happy that you shared your time with us. Normally, I ask people to give me and Easy, out of respect, I ask people to give this amazing advice at the end. But I have this one question for you.
Please.
Paul Bass did such an amazing job doing what he did for the New Haven Independent. With your new position, congratulations, by the way. What are you going to do different?
It's a good question, and let's see. I mean, I'm going to work my way towards an answer. I hope that's okay, and we'll see if there's anything actually different about it. But I think that so much of what Paul did, it would be an incredible honor and accomplishment if I could do a lot of the same. I mean, in terms of the building that real deep trust in the communities that we write about, especially in communities where people do not look like me. I'm like, you know, middle-class white guy from the suburbs of New York City who's only lived here for 12 years. I take it as a great point of pride that I already have, you know, that I've built the level of trust that I have in so many different parts of the city. And I hope that I can only continue to do that as I edit the Independent, and as I continue as a reporter, kind of helping shed light on what it's like to live here at this time and the wonderful people that make up the city. But I think that my biggest goal, and I think Paul also did this wonderfully, so this isn't too much of a different thing, but, you know, now I'm not just writing for the Independent. As an editor, my primary responsibility is managing people. And I have this incredible staff of Maya McFadden, Nora Grace Flood, Laura Gillespie, who are, you know, my 3 writing colleagues at the Independent. In addition to Paul, in addition to Alan Appel, Brian Slattery, there's a great group, but those 3 are really the, you know, wonderful young reporters who I get to mentor every single day. So I see my biggest goal and biggest challenge is to make sure that they grow as much as possible as reporters, and that they are able to, while developing professionally in their own rights, are able to contribute to this incredible thing that the Independent's done over the past 17 years. In a small way that I've contributed, I hope to help them only kind of elevate and help tell the stories of what it's like to be in New Haven at this time.
Breen, please give any social media or any way to reach out to you.
Yeah, I mean, I would say the big one is just read the Independent, newhavenindependent.org. It's very easy to tell what I and my colleagues have been up to because we write about it and publish it on the internet every day. So it's but you know, independent.org, newhavenindependent.org, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, New Haven Independent. You know, I'm also on Facebook and Twitter, but really most of what, and under, you just search my name, you'll find it. But really check out the Independent. I think that you'll learn a lot about New Haven if you don't already know it. And yeah, thanks so much for having me, Prestige and Easy. It's a pleasure to be here. Love what you do. Thanks for your contributions to WNHH and to New Haven arts and culture.
We appreciate you on WNHH LP 103.5 FM New Haven. Behind the Brand continues, but Tom Breen unfortunately has to, you know, do his own thing. Be a reporter,
till next time.
Yeah, till
thank
next
you.
time.
Yes. Oh no, there'll be a next time. We have a lot to
cover. All right. See you, Prestige. See you, Easy. Thanks, Eric.
That was fun.
Yeah, no, he's such a good dude. He's such a good, and it's like, I'm not kidding. Like, anytime you're in some type of event or something like that, and he looks up and he smiles at you, you're like, oh, that's Tom. I'm gonna go over and say hi to him. But it's so, like, I hope that the listener really understands how important that job is and how serious, you know. Yes, they are doing everything on the small local scale, similar to what you and I do here on this show. Right. You know, taking that big spotlight from the mainstream and shooting it down, you know, to, you know, the local aspect, you know. And now I want to ask you a question, because no one ever really asked you questions anymore.
Here we go. Go ahead.
what really was the heart and soul of you making the decision to turn, this opportunity into telling the stories of the local?
Everybody needs to be heard. Similar to what Tom said, it's amazing what you can learn from different individuals. And just from what I learned from Tom today in this broadcast, he really opened up a lot when it came to doing what he do. I think his profession made him a better person. Socially saved his life, because he's the happiest person I see running around. Like you said, you said hi to him. I barely get a chance to say hi to him. So that instant, connection I made with him, like I think last week, just to get him on the show today, that's rare. Because if I see him, he's running, going to the next thing that's happening in this city of New Haven. Like he's always running around and always has the notepad out and always is covering different stuff. Like you barely can catch him. So if you catch him, get that right moment. So I'm happy you had an interaction with him, because that was rare. That was rare. And it's not out of disrespect, because he's committed to the job. He's so committed to what he does, now with his new position as top editor, but like he's on it.
And at the end of the day, you're a lot more respectful than I am. Yeah. Like you catch your money, you're like, oh, he's running. I kind of stand in front of him and be like, hey, buddy, I ain't seen you in a while. So it's different,
Okay, you command the attention.
I kind of sometimes. I don't know why.
I let people, be their own way. You know what I'm saying? If you're gonna say hi, say hi. If not, life goes on. Saying we're gonna meet again. But you command the attention. This is great.
Sometimes I don't know why. It's weird. That happened last night at the awards. It's pretty funny.
Oh, for those of you who just tuned in, Easy and his band Shane Penguin did get nominated for the New England Music Awards last night. Congratulations again. And what was the nomination? It was what, best punk nominee or what?
Yeah, we got best punk act. I don't know why we got nominated for best punk act, but we got nominated for best punk act. But it was cool, man. We showed up at Foxborough and like we sit down at the table, and of course we've got our little Shames at the table. And a woman walks over. She's like, "Are you Shane Penguin?" We're like, "Of course." So like, I really love your name, and that's great. So we're able to give her a sticker and stuff like that. But it was a cool moment. Like, and as she was doing that, the waitress was coming up. So like, it looked like we were a lot more important than we were. So it made us really feel well. But then we also were like kind of put on the hook because now she thought we were a big deal. So we had to tip her heavy. But it happens. She's like, these guys didn't give 20%. Screw Shane Penguin. No, ma'am. Here's 35%. Have a good day.
Now, just from previous conversation with like the rest of the band members and you guys really don't have a genre. It's just a little bit of mix of the music all you guys love, and you put it into one.
Yes, we're calling it Penguin Rock now. Actually.
Penguin Rock.
Yes. We just got tired of being like, like Tristan calls us indie punk, and it kind of makes sense because like we have the indie philosophy and we do have like the punk energy, but there's really no sense. Indie and punk are like the same word. It's just, one wears a mohawk and one wears a flannel, pretty much the only difference.
What great stuff did you see? Just within the music world, like how many bands were just like so amazing you really get a chance to talk to? Just tell me just a little bit of that experience.
It's when you first get to anything like this, it's very like high school. The bands from Rhode Island hung out in this corner, and the bands from Massachusetts hung out in this corner, and the bands from Connecticut hung out in this really small corner in the back. And it is what it is. But so it becomes very territorial,
right?
And then like some musicians will go on and play, and people will get up to support and dance. One of the craziest moments was this dude, amazing singer-songwriter. He's playing, and the crowd is just like on super socialization aspects. So the crowd is louder than he is, and you could tell he's getting frustrated. So he just kind of cuts his set and he goes off. And then not 2 minutes later, he wins an award. and he has to come back out and accept, and it's on his birthday.
Wow.
He has to come out and accept it. And man, I give this dude so much credit because like everyone's like pin drop silent to hear his speech. And he goes, why couldn't you guys have been this quiet while I was performing? And I was like, sir, I appreciate you. Thank you for saying what we were all thinking. You know.
From the guests we have with Tom Breen, do you feel you two share a little bit of similar backstories? Because I mean, you're coming from New York as well too, and then you come to this new destination of New Haven, Connecticut. I hope I still got Easy because he's frozen on my side a little bit. Hope I still got you, brother. Hope you're still with me within this broadcast of the show. Gotcha. There you go.
I'm here.
Did you get my question?
No.
Okay, cool. Beautiful. These things happen. Just a little bit more about our guest, Tom Breen. Do you feel you guys share just a little bit of slight similar when it comes just to backstories? Just you coming from New York and just coming to New Haven, this diverse city, and just, you know, rebranding yourself into this new human being?
I do. And I kind of want to know a little bit more about like his upbringing aspect, because although, yes, I came from the suburbs of Long Island, I didn't necessarily come from like the good suburbs of Long Island. You know what I mean?
Got you.
So, you know,
gotcha, I understand.
And you know, the listener knows I'm very, very honest about it. You know, I spent a good portion of my life on public assistance. You know, so I don't necessarily have the same stories that a lot of like suburban people have. I have more stories that like non-suburban people have. And that's fine. I know what the government cheese tastes like, and it was delicious. You know, the big block of cheese. If you've never had government cheese, it makes the best grilled cheese sandwich ever. You got to get one of those cheese slicers that's got like a weird wire, and you got to go down. And if you cut it too thick, man, it ruins your grilled cheese sandwich. But if you cut it just right, best grilled cheese in the world.
Well, we definitely have to plan having Tom Breen again in the foreseeable future. And Harry said the cheese was delicious.
Exactly. And on a grilled cheese with just like the right, like half a pound of butter on both slices of bread. I'm telling you, it's a heart attack waiting to happen. I loved every second of it.
Oh, it's been a crazy year, man.
It really has, man.
It's been a crazy year. We had a lot of interesting guests. We're gonna have a couple more within this whole year, 2022. It's not over just yet. It's been an amazing ride. We're still going on with this program. I'm really happy to be here.
I know. And 2023 is around the corner.
2023 is around the corner. Life goes so fast. It really does.
Yeah, too fast.
It's just amazing right now. But we will be back on Friday for Behind the Brand. Zillaman's going to be the guest. Zillaman.
Zillaman.
Kronzilla's going to be the guest for Friday. So I'm really happy about that. And thank you guys for being with us on the show. Myself, Prestige, and my partner in crime, always doing his thing. Long Island raised, Elm City made, EZ Blues is in the building on WNHH-LP 103.5 FM. And this has been Behind the Brand. Appreciate you, Harry.
Wondering what to write about, trying to figure out what it's all about. Existentialist, am I worth anything or just discount? I don't know.